Eastern Cape 500 round 2 of the 2008 Absa Off-Road Championship was a tough challenge. This route was totally different to any other the 60 drivers in the production car class and specials had faced before. Port Elizabeth is South Africa's second oldest city and a mainstay on the Eastern Cape coastline. Home to more than 2 million people, the Nelson Mandela Bay Metro is also home to several motor manufacturers and is therefore a popular place for motorsport of any kind, none more so than off-road racing. Hello off-road fans and thanks for joining us. I'm Arnold Getz and with me Roald Woods. Roald, this route bordered on being a long, very hard day in the driving seat.
Yes, sir, Arnie, a substantial part of the event, reduced from 1,000 kilometers to 500 because of recent fuel price hikes, was to run in the Longmore Forest area in and around Port Elizabeth. This area hosts the VW Rally, a round of the Sasol South African Rally Championship. And crews with rally experience had a great idea of exactly how to keep things afloat and what to expect in the sort of terrain the off-road fraternity does not often visit. National champion Duncan Foss and winner of the race in Darling, though, feels that the rally-like stages won't necessarily mean a difference in attitude.
I'm not so sure about that. You know, we do quite a lot of rally sections in our championship now. At Leidenburg, for example, last year, and at Eston and Natal, there's quite a lot of rally-type sections. So we've gained experience in those sections, so I think we'll be okay.
You've got a new navigator.
Yeah, you know, Ralph is not here, and I've got a lot of faith in Louis. We went out yesterday and we've done a bit of testing with him, and he's keen as all hell, so I'm hoping he's going to go well, and I'm sure he will.
Bevan Berthold in the all-new Castrol Toyota Hilux was aching to drive his new steed.
Yeah, my team's done a beautiful job of building a new car, so it's for me to go and do the job with Robin and go and win the race, nothing serious. It's very well prepared. They put a lot of time and effort in, and the car's going lovely.
And what about the tactical approach?
We've been playing it nicely, want to finish, now want to win. So we're going flat out, and if it holds together, we win. That's it.
Well, Toyota won the Manufacturers' Trophy last season with their privateers coming to the party. This year, the works teams were desperate to contribute to the points haul.
Cronje and Birkin both knew that, as did Berthold and the tall, lanky Robin Houghton.
As for the former E-classes, Cobus Montona and Rian Guelpa in the SP Ford Ranger, well, they're just finding their feet.
We're getting used to the car now. I mean, after the few races last year, we've got the mileage and we start enjoying the car now. The SP was a little bit different for us when we moved from the E-class to the SP class, but now we're used to the car, and I think we should try to keep it up. The competition getting more fierce and the more difficult, more competitors come into the class, but that's nice. We like that. I think we will have a good race with all the competitors. I've noticed that we've got like 14 competitors down here, and it's very good for the SP class.
In other camps, there was excitement and quite a bit of apprehension ahead of the prologue.
I was saying to my navigator earlier, I haven't felt this, I don't know if it's hesitant or excited, since I started off-road racing probably about 15 years ago. So yes, we're looking forward to it. It's a little bit quicker than the E, in fact substantially quicker, but we have done a fair bit of testing and we'll take it from there.
And then, of course, there are all those rally sections. Will that be a problem for the IDM Cement Toyota Hilux team in this big race?
No, not at all. Keith and I actually enjoyed the forest sections last year when we were in Leidenburg and what have you. So we're quite happy with rally sections, yeah. It's a lot of fun, and the bike is quite suited for that. It's easier than the E than that.
Okay, and after the first round, it was Duncan Foss and Ralph Pitchford who were setting the pace in the production class. A full haul of points for them, with perennial winner Hannes Grobler and his new co-driver Joan Moore chasing hard.
And rolled in the specials, it was G for go too. The space frame vehicles weren't necessarily like the rally sections, and after Darling, the winners there were ready for more of the same.
Yeah, nice start, but it's all come and gone now. We're at the second event, and yeah, we need to focus on this event itself. It's a new event, and I think it's going to come with its own challenges. There seems to be some forest sections which are, I think, going to be very much more like rallying stages. So that's going to require different skill.
Does the region team of Marsh and Groenewald have those skills? What do you and the car prefer?
The more tougher and technical is, I think, the better it suits us. I think that's really our forte. The fast, flat-out stuff is not necessarily our skill. I think the tougher it is, the better we get. Endurance is definitely our forte.
And endurance is what Mark Corbett and the Century Properties team were after.
There's quite a few changes to the car since the last event. The last event we didn't manage to finish. We only did about 25 Ks and we had a bit of an overheating problem. So as you can see, there's bigger scoops on the side of the car and in the center. So we've over-engineered the problem and hopefully we can have a decent race. But like anything new, there's always going to be teething trouble.
Especially with race cars and even more so with the specials, Mark.
Definitely. It's a new car that we designed and built this year. So we expect a few teething problems, but we've done quite a bit of testing since the last event. We've done about 150 Ks, so hopefully we've ironed out all the problems.
And that's key to success in ABSA's off-road series. The Marsh Groeneveld combination sitting pretty, while Peter Ruthven and Deval Boshoff were not here.
Ruthven was actually tying the knot.
Oh well, another one bites the dust.
ABSA's Off-Road Championship continues.
Vehicle and asset finance from ABSA, going the extra mile to get you financed. ABSA, going off the beaten track to find solutions.
The prologue to determine start positions got going from Kings Beach and was to cover a distance of 60 kilometers in the Kucha area.
And it wasn't a normal prologue either. It was pretty technical out there.
Yes, and what's more, here you can't just go flat out. You still have another 430 plus Ks of racing left for the next day. The route, lots of switchbacks, and it would be very hard out there.
Krobler was away quickly, followed by Mark Cronier and Chris Birkin in their Castrol Toyota 4-litre Hilux.
While Voss and standing navigator Louis Weichelt was soon off and running too.
This part of the world is sandy, bushy and very rocky in places. Cronier and Birkin in their Castrol Toyota Hilux were loving the route. Their speed on the straight bits confirmed it.
Three-time champion and himself a former national rally star, Krobler and Moore were piling on the pace. And did you notice there? No slowing down for the Rocks or that little drop-off. They were second fastest in class.
Yep, they meant business, as did Voss and Weichelt in third place. Let's listen in.
100, fork left. Yeah. 210, fork right. Turn louder, talk louder. 100, fork right, yeah. 850, turn 90 left.
That's backseat driving in its truest form. Mountaineer Norway's Ivar Tollefson and his British co-driver Quinn Evans were having the drive of their lives, and halfway through were just 30 seconds behind a flying Cronier.
And the father-son combination of Hicho and Jaap de Bruin in the Michelin XL dealer team were doing great damage to the big team's reputations. Fifth fastest early on.
The forward squad, Neil Woolridge and Kenny Schothammer, just 80 seconds behind, keeping one set of dry feet, the other one wet.
It had been dry in the Eastern Cape, and the big monsters were churning up the layers of dust. Chris Visser and Jaapie Badenhorst have been steadily improving and are worthy of being called a works team these days. They and the Hilux are so reliable.
Talking reliable, Alfie Cox has won almost 24 national titles on 2 and 4 wheels, and in the Motorrad SP, he was grinding along solidly, with co Hendy van der Steghe calling the route.
That Ford has certainly nicely turned out in the silver and black. They were 12th overall.
Fastest through this point, the spectators saw Mark Ferguson and Craig West in the Ford Ranger tiptoeing through and over the rocks strewn along this road.
If you want to call it that. A road, I mean.
True, but nothing stops these guys from finding a way over, under or around, even sideways if it has to.
Well, they were keeping it nice and straight. That's Ruacon's George and Sharon Barkhuizen, still testing the strength of their marriage vows and doing a fine job of that, and the piloting of their Toyota Hilux.
And dust for Africa. Just to confirm that it's been rain-free lately in the PE area. Van Tonda and Guapa giving the Ford Ranger gas as they went along their merry way, 11th in the production car class.
As for Berthold and Robin Houghton, some choice language emphasized the flat just when they didn't need it.
400. Through 80 to 90. Oh, puncher. Now we're going to change it. Okay, let me get my stuff ready.
Okay, Lily van last place.
Go straight, yeah, and we'll change.
Okay, hang on, Rob, just hang on. trying to find a way back in here.
Ja, just stop it first. Just nice and neat.
Oh, you need that like you need in the hole in the head, right?
Well, that's the game, and their lot stop and change. They would take 12th place. Luckily, the brothers Matt and Henry and Maurice had no such trouble and were ahead in Class D.
But the tall bush and undergrowth makes it tough to see the route. Luckily, it was very well marked out there.
Jaco Swanepoel and Keith Solomon in an all-white Toyota were impressive, but still 7 minutes back from the pace at the front.
And Cliff Weichelt and Jimmy Goch were second in Class D in their Toyota N1 4x4 Hilux 3-litre.
And the dust became a staple diet further back in the field.
But that didn't stop or hamper Class E pole sitter Thomas Rundle and Brian Roberts in the Barton Tyre Services Nissan Hardbody.
Second in Class E now and in car with Jack Peckham and Lucio Santoro in the Ford. There were 1 or 2 wrong slots.
Third in E was Yanni Visser and Joks LaRue, who always get the best out of their Toyota Hilux.
But the best of the best was Cronje and Birken, who blasted to a 26-second win over Grobler and Moore.
While Voss was a further 49 seconds adrift, Arnie, this was pretty tight, as only 95 seconds separated the top 6.
Well, we did promise tight racing, and the Eastern Cape 500 provided it.
Okay, back to business, and the space frame cars were supposed to battle here. But no one bothered to tell Gary Berthold and Andre Vermeulen that, as they jetted along in the Atlas Copco.
Brandon Harkis and former national champ Richard Leake in the silver and black livery of the Motorite backed Chev-powered 6.6-litre was second, but already 60 seconds off the pace with a leaking crank seal.
And staying in the Atlas Copco theme, the father and son team of Nick and Ryan were third in the specials.
Cully Silwat and son Quinton were just behind them, and this combo has really started gelling well after their first win last year.
And also working well together, it was Clint Gibson and Gary Campbell in their bat, who were, dare we say it, batting along. Fifth in class for them.
Enough already, just 5 seconds behind them in 6th place. It was Michael Whitehouse and Matthew Carlson in the first of the Regent Racing bats. And you could call him Sideways Sarl.
They were leading the way for Nissan Dealer 400 winners Marsh and his co Peter Groenewald. They're stablemates, and quite clearly they were taking it easy, trying to conserve the car.
Well, that's the way to best tackle the prologue if you want to get to the finish 500 k's later.
Methinks Corbett and Rudy Bolzar were following the same pattern. While the ever-steady young Cry and his new nav Tudor Furcht were setting the pace in Class B, they were enjoying the well-marked route that the organizers had laid out.
In the all-new P-Class for cars with engines 6 cylinders or less, the Adenko backed with Johan and Etienne Besaidnout aboard were leading, but only by a scant 22 seconds.
It just demonstrated how tight things have become. It's competitive out there.
Yep, that's a go. Just ask David White and Bodo Berthold in the Rurocon bat. They were chasing the Besaidnout's dust, second in class for them.
Hey, Arnie, the Beatles once sang The Long and Winding Road. Well, this is the long, windy and dusty road, as Rurocon's next entry, that of Lo de Bruin and Rudy Britt, scuttled by, second in Class B to Jan Cry.
And the men who were left singing happily, Gary Berthold and Andre Vermeulen. You can justifiably call Berthold the prologue king. He's one of few in his time.
Doing the exercise again, just 100 seconds between the top 6. That is some racing.
In the Toyota pits, it was clear that the Bush and Stone had a go at the cars. Notice the decal here almost completely swept away by the Eastern Cape Thorn and undergrowth.
While Nissan's Grobler enjoyed himself.
Yeah, the route on today's prologue was very nice. It was a very tight and technical route, and the navigator He must have been on his bloody tip of his toes when he navigated. We went very well. I think we had a good time. I'm not sure where the other guys is at the moment, but I'm sure we will be starting tomorrow in the first 5. And then, if I look up, I can see a few clouds. It looks like we're going to have maybe rain tomorrow.
Neil Woolridge in 6th place even saw some fast rocks, and that's something else.
It went well. It was a very well organised prologue. The marking was fantastic, and they sort of changed the marking, I think, a little bit, and for the better. It was very nicely set out. It's quite tight and technical. Some fast stuff as well. A lot of rocks, a lot of fast rocks, you know. So I think we had a fair time. We had a little problem with the brakes, where the switch on the back of the master cylinder is leaking, so it was dropping brake fluid onto my feet. So my pedals were a little bit slippery. So I think I lost a little bit of time there. There's played more in the mind, I think, than anything else. But yeah, we had a good run. The car's fine. We used old tyres today because the rules only allow us to use 4 brand new tyres for the whole event. So we've opted to save our brand new tyres for tomorrow. With what the weatherman's telling us, there's some rain coming, so we've opted to use some second-hand tyres today. So I think it probably cost us a little bit, but overall we're happy. The car's fine, no problems on the car, so tomorrow we'll maximum attack.
You definitely rock, Neil.
So the blue and white Oval brand were poised to attack in the wet. For Robin Houghton and the Toyota Hilux, the flat early on was just the beginning of their dusty problems.
Sometimes it feels like if you don't have bad luck, you'd have no luck at all. So 8 Ks into the race, on the apex of a turn, there looks like a broken tree stump or something, clipped that and flat tyre. So changed it, relatively good change. And unfortunately one of the nurses came in just before we got back on the road, and we sat for 50 kilometers in the dust. So lost probably about 4 minutes with the change and about a minute just being slow in the dust. So 5 minutes down, but I think the starting system tomorrow with the 1 minute gap is going to help us. You know, at least we're not in the, in the whole big bunch of people. If it's a little bit open, we can pick the guys off one by one. So it's not over yet, and so especially if the weather comes in like we're expecting, maybe being a bit further back might not be a bad idea either. The road will be a bit cleaner. Hopefully the front guys maybe have an odd problem. We can see where the danger points, and we still rate ourselves in the event.
The Ryobi Nissan 3-litre hardbody team led home the Class D challenges, but they were also lamenting the dust, and then they got it home like a crab. Sideways.
We managed to catch up a little bit of time on Cliff in front of us, but with the dust being a little bit thick, you can only get to within, I don't know, 100 meters or so, and then you can't see anymore. You know, you've got to back off and then catch him again when the wind changes direction, but we just couldn't make our way past. And then we snapped the right front drive shaft. And we had a choice, either stop and fix it, which is about a 40-minute operation, or put it into two-wheel drive and drive it like a rally car. So half the route we did sideways, no traction. It was an interesting day. But we'll fix it tonight, and then tomorrow she should be good again.
In the turquoise blue of Atlas Copco, the man who has almost built a reputation for winning prologues, Gary Berthold, was happy to be dust-free right at the top of the result sheet.
Nice for a change to be back at the front. I must say it was a nice, smooth drive. Very happy with Andre Vermeulen in the navigator seat. Made a big difference. Very good rally navigator, so it helped a lot. The car seems to be sorted out, and hopefully we can keep this Atlas Copco Porter out front to do well tomorrow as well.
For the rest of the lineup, there was a lot of cleaning, tweaking and fixing up to do.
And Arnie, you cannot believe how much can be broken or bent in just 70 Ks.
Nonetheless, we'll be broken if you don't stay right there.
We'll be back right after this.
Vehicle and asset finance from Absa, overcoming all of